Hey, good evening on a Sunday evening, y'all. We're gonna open up with a moment of silence, followed by this. Open up the addicts inside and outside these walls. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, God, I thank you for allowing us to be clean another day just for today. And thank you so very much for all the treatment facilities, inpatient, outpatient, therapists, the counselors, and all the people who play a part in changing people's lives. And for that, I am grateful. And today I wanted just to tell you thank you because we all woke up this morning. And I am so grateful for that. Okay. My God. Hi, y'all. Wasn't feeling the best for the last couple of days. And, but I'm here. That's the whole. We are on step 10. I love to talk about the steps. We are on step 10. And step 10 is we continue to take a personal inventory. And when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. I know some of y'all had to do a lot of that when you come into the room of Narcotics Anonymous program. Give a big shout out to the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous program. Let me get my head straight. Let me get, full of coal. But anyway. Thank you, God. Thank you. Anyway, we are on step 10, and that's step 10, man. We have went through from 1 to 10. So we done went through a lot of different phases in our lives and working the steps. You should have a sponsor. They tell us to have a sponsor, and they tell us to do service work. They tell us to go to meetings. They tell us these things, and these things really help because, when I came into Narcotics Anonymous program, let me go back a little further. When I came into treatment, I didn't have a guideline. I didn't have nothing to help me, to put me on the right track. All I know, I was walking into a building and didn't know what to expect and didn't know who was going to help me and didn't know how I was going to come back out once I went back in because I was scared. I was scared of the unknown. I was scared because I wanted to take a drink going in. I wanted to get high going in, but the best part about wanting to is that I didn't. I was going to a place in there to get help because I needed help. And thank God he put me on the right track, but step 10 is a big step. It's you have to take a personal inventory. We have to do that today. I have to do that today. I do that. I'll take a personal inventory of everything that's going on in my life because if I don't, I will somehow reverse and start picking up some habits and some ways and some character defects, and then I'm in trouble. So I know I have to always nurture. We have to always nurture ourselves, no matter what's going on in your life. This step I really love because it's talking about it's talking about some acceptance, and preservation. We have to learn how to accept the things that we have done, the things that we know we need to do, the things that we have to watch that trigger us, that put us in a place to where you just feel like sometimes you just want to go off. You just want to tell somebody how you truly feel. And that's what I love about this step because You know, the step is when I do something wrong. I had to go to a couple of people's because of something that I did. And something that we do sometimes ain't always bad. It can be a good thing, but we be out of place of doing the good thing. So I've had to apologize in my life for things that I have done. And I'm okay with that because this is what the step tells us that we have to do. We have to promptly admit what's going on with us, or promptly admit to a person that we have harmed or who we have hurt. Hello, Derek. How you doing, honey? We had to admit to some things that we used to wouldn't admit to. I'm just going to be honest. I wouldn't have never promptly admitted to anybody that I was sorry, you know, because I was in my mess. I was still up under the influence of drugs and alcohol, you know, and right now I realize that, you know, these steps, I was thinking last night, these steps is for us for a reason, to kind of put things in a guideline to when we going through something, we have some kind of tools to use to help us narrate the problem that's going on in our lives. And I have to always remember that I am an addict. I'm a recovering addict, but this disease of an addiction, I hate this disease. I just, you know, every time I get a phone call or every time I go visit somebody and they're in the hospital due to an overdose or drug addiction, you know, this disease, or some of my friends have died not in the addiction, but because of the wreckage of our past, because of the alcohol and the drugs and whatever else we like to do, the fentanyl, the heroin. There's so many drugs out there, but all of them falls into the guideline of the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous program. And that's all dealing with, excuse me, it's all dealing with NACA, and AA. All of it is a drug. The alcohol is a drug. The pills is a drug. The weed and the heroin and the crack cocaine, you know, is a drug. And in our back in our days when we was using, we didn't care what we used, as long as we got that feeling of, you know, of getting high, and we didn't want to deal with nothing, and we already feel. I know me. I already was at the lowest point of my life, and I kept using. That's that disease. That's that addiction. That's why they call it an addiction, because the addiction is cunning, and it'll tell you you're okay. It'll tell you, oh, girl, ain't nothing wrong with you. You know, just keep on doing. Just keep killing yourself. It ain't saying it in so many words, but that's what I learned. By me being clean, it was telling me to keep killing myself, keep drinking, keep thinking that your body is exempt of going through changes or getting caught up with something you can't cure. You know, it tells us that. So I had to learn that recovery is a place where we belong. I know I do. I know I belong at the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous program. And I am so grateful for that. And I wanted to give a shout out to the parents and to my friend who I saw yesterday. She lost her daughter last year. I lost my son 9 years ago, you know, and all of it had to do with drugs. I'm not saying that's the reason why they died, but it's the result of using, and you kept using, then your body can't take it no more. So, you know, I had to learn that, you know, we as peoples have to learn that we are human, we have feelings, you know, and we must figure out what's going on with us. You know, some people feel like, oh, I don't need no treatment. I don't need, you know, all I need is God. Okay, yeah, I needed God too, and I still need God every day. But I had to have a program that I must follow because the church can't help me with the drugs and the alcohol. It can't it can't tell me what steps to get on. It can't tell me how to figure out what's going on with a situation that I am feeling or going through. Only thing it can tell us that I know it's a God, and I know God can help us. But I learned being clean that no matter what happens in our lives, no matter what happens in our lives, we have to have some tools to use to put us on a better foundation. And I like this that said, we continue. You know, continue means to keep going. That means don't stop. You can't stop. You have to keep on going every day of your life in order to deal with this disease of an addiction. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that this is a continuous thing for me to take a personal inventory of myself. And I do that daily. And I know you all should be doing that too. You know, how we talk to people, how we hurt people. You know, like we can be we clean. And I've seen it. We clean and people can still hurt people's feelings. And, you know, we still can do things that we know that we shouldn't have done. But we have to learn to get to a point to where we can admit it. We can admit, and take an inventory. You know, that inventory, man, was, that inventory is very, tensive sometimes. Tensive for me. It was tensive for me. Let me speak for me. You know, when I was taking an inventory, I could not believe. Hey, Auntie Wanda, how you doing? I could not believe when I was taking an inventory of all the mess up, the screw ups, and the things that I had done to get one more, or to stay high, or to drink alcohol. You know, and when you start taking an inventory, you know, it's painful. It was painful for me. I don't know about nobody else, but I know when I was taking an inventory, a personal inventory of my life and the things that I had done, and the peoples that loved me truly, that I had hurt. I had crossed some lines. You know, I had put myself in a situation where my friends had to let go. My associates had to let me go. You know, and I'm okay with that, because I was up under the influence of a disease called an addiction. And this addiction didn't tell me to be kind to nobody. It didn't tell me to like everybody. It told me to keep killing myself, to keep hurting myself. And to the parents who lost a daughter and had to bury a son, or your husband, or your niece or nephew through addiction, you know, I can always tell you, I'm sorry. I feel that pain. You know, I've been in that pain. And I know what it is to lose a loved one due to addiction or because of addiction. And it's a heavy weight. It's a heavy weight when you have kids, a heavy weight when you lose a mother, a heavy weight when you lose a father, or your children, or your nieces and nephews due to the drugs and the alcohol. It's very painful. I can only tell you that because I've been through it. So I can't tell you what I ain't been through. I only tell you what I've been through. I can only explain to you how I made it through. I can only tell you the things that I have done to damage a lot of things that happened in my life. I can only express to you, I'm a recovering addict, and I can only express to you what I've been through, what I went through, where I'm at today, you know, how I'm feeling today. You know, I can only express that to you. But my thing is, you know, people have to do recovery for yourself. Can't nobody do that for you. Your mother can't keep you clean. Your daddy can't keep you clean. Can't nobody around you keep you clean. You are the only one that has to make a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of God, and to get into some kind of facility, to go to some meetings, to get you a sponsor, to let somebody help you put your life back on track. That's what that acceptance come in. And taking a personal inventory is not always easy. You know, and if anybody tell you that it is, I don't know about them. But I know when I was taking a personal inventory and I was working the program with my sponsor, I know it was very painful because I went down some painful paths in my using, and it caused me great harm, and it made me harm other people's, and it made me even harm or not pay attention to things that I should have with my kids. See, I can take that inventory now because I can feel and I can think better. Everything is very clear now. You know, I don't have that disease of an addiction clouding my mind because I'm full of drugs and alcohol. When you're drinking, you lose jobs. When you're drinking, you get health problems. When you're using drugs, same thing. Drinking, lose problems, lose good jobs, go to jail, get evicted, can't pay your bills, and and that's how people's become homeless. Some of them, not everybody. But I know in my youth, I was in a place in my life that I didn't even like me. I put up with me, but I didn't like me. I put up with me, but I couldn't stand me. I put up with me because I know I had to find a way to get myself together. And when you're trying to find your way to get yourself together, the enemy will step in and make you think that you don't need recovery. Make you think that you don't need to belong to something that can help you whenever you are going through a situation. But I'm still clean. Only because I surrendered, only because I keep taking personal inventories. And when I hurt somebody, I go to them and tell them, I ain't finna go to you because I'm thinking something. I can sit down and think or look at a situation and call it for what it really is. But, I can't get out and blur what I feel or what I'm feeling or what I see or how you mistreating people or how you doing somebody I love. I could do that, but then that means what have I worked on doing my steps? What did I learn about recovery? What did I learn how to sometimes hold the way I feel? Because feelings can make us get emotion, and emotion can make us come out of our character. So I have to always be mindful that these steps is for us to maintain the ability to know the difference in what we are going through. Don't think that you just going to get clean and everything going to be okay and that you ain't going to get no urges. You ain't going to want to drink. You ain't going to want to continue to get high. It's a lie. It's a lie. Because even when I was clean 6 months, 9 months, the urges were still there. I had to tell my sponsor, I've had bad dreams, wake up in the middle of the night thinking that I'm getting high and sweating, and them urges cause me some uncomfortable feelings while I was clean. And I'm just telling you what I went through. The more I stayed clean, seemed like the more urges came. And I had to identify that with my sponsor. And she told me, when you're clean, them urges, because Satan, that evil person, want us to pick up and use again. So now he can have control and he can take over. And I had to identify with that. I went through some stuff. So anybody that get clean, you all think it's very easy. Oh, you can get clean. Just leave it alone. See, it's a disease. And the chemicals get in our bodies, and the independence of wanting that alcohol or wanting that drug. It's there. It's lingering. It wants us to get back on the thing that control us. That's why they call it a disease. Because at any given day, I can change my mind and go pick up. Any given day, I can go to places and peoples that I know ain't supposed to be around and end up using again. So that's why you have to have a safety net. That's why you have to always have a direction in your life of where you're going. You can't get a car and start roaming the streets and going down the places that you used to go down just to see if things can change, because to me that's premeditated thinking, because I don't want to go back down Nail Street that I used to get high on, or I used to buy drugs from. I used to roll up like it wasn't nothing. All I had to do was have the money in my hand and the drugs enter my car or enter my hand. I ain't trying to go back down them streets. Now, if I just happen to be riding, like I told y'all months ago, just happened to be riding and I had to stop at a light and these dudes was out there selling drugs. Baby, I got the stuff, I got this, I got that. And I started laughing, and they looked at me like I was crazy because I was laughing, because that them words, their attention to reach my attention made me laugh, because I remember the words of when I was using, when I was intoxicated, when I was high. I remember them words. Baby, I got it. This is good stuff. Here it is. I give you 2 bags for the price of one. I remember that. And I remember being up under the influence of something that had me thinking that I was nobody, worthless, didn't know where I was going, didn't have a direction of where I'm going. So that's why today we continue to take a personal inventory. Even when we get out of character, we have to still take that personal inventory of our lives, our situations, our personality, and when I love this, when it says you continue to take a personal inventory, that's every day. That's every day I have to take an inventory. If I go off on somebody or go off on one of my kids and they done did something wrong, then I got to take a personal inventory of what could I have did better? What could I have said better? And then I have found myself in this step 10, perseverance and acceptance, to where I had to go to that person and tell that person I'm sorry. Ain't nothing wrong with telling somebody you're sorry. What is not right is when you know you done hurt somebody or did something wrong, and you sit on it, and you don't want to be the bigger, better person than to say, I'm sorry. I admitted that I was out of order. I admitted that I was wrong. I admitted that I could have did things different. Taking step 10, I remember when I had to go back and remember all the stuff that I had done. All the times that I bought things for my kids, and all of a sudden I let the dope man, and once the dope man got to the door, I started pulling stuff. Everything that I loved, everything that I worked hard for, it meant nothing at that moment, because I wanted to get high. Anytime that you watching TV or your kids is watching TV, and I had plenty of TVs. I remember when I got high. I remember when I was using, how I would call a dope man, whether it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it didn't matter. When that craving got on me and I wanted to use, or I ran out of dope, or I ran out of alcohol, I remember calling him and telling him to just come to the door, and I'm going to put the TV out, and I'm going to put this camera out, I'm going to put my speakers out, my stereo. So I remember saying that. And I remember afterwards, I didn't think. You don't think when you in the disease of an addiction. You don't think then. Hey, Robin, you don't think. You don't think when you telling the dope man, come on, I give you the TV and it'll all be on the porch, and you give me a price, and I give you the TV and I get some dope. See, that taking that personal inventory back, when I was coming into being clean, a lot of things that I demeanored myself from, I degraded myself, because up under the influence of drugs and alcohol, you don't care about that. That means nothing. That's why they said step 10, we continue to take a personal inventory. That means in the past or in the present. And people say, well, I don't talk about the past. I say, I don't know why, because it's the past is what keep me clean. The past of me knowing what I did or what I could have did better or what I shouldn't have done is what's keeping me clean today. So my working on this 10, taking a personal inventory, I do that right now. I do that. I do that right now. A bad feeling. I don't know why, baby. It may be your phone. Ain't nobody else complaining, Robin. So I don't know why it is repeating. But anyway, I had to learn that. Cut it off and cut it back on. I had to learn step 10, taking a personal inventory. I do that right now. I promise I do. Every day before I lay down or I'm laying down, and I'll take what happened today. See, what happened today is precious than it was yesterday. And I always have to take an inventory of what happened. Like I was laying in my bed today. I didn't go to church. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't just wasn't feeling good. Sometimes when we ain't feeling good, we got to push ourselves, because us not feeling good can make us lose our blessings. But today, I just wasn't feeling good at all. And I was up and I was taking an inventory of when I went to go see my nephew. And, he's one of my favorite nephews, and me and him get a chance to talk. And because of his drug use and because of, him not accepting the things that he done, me and him had the chance to talk. He had to pay a price, and we all have to pay a price. When we're using and we don't take accountability of what we're doing, and we get out there and all kind of stuff start happening because we in that world where a lot of people is still up under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Anything can happen, everything can happen. So I had to learn, taking the inventory is a gift too, because it let us know that our mind is better. It's more equipped to remember and hold things, to look at things. It's a gift. And it's a gift for me to remember where I was and where I'm at today and how blessed I am because I made it through, and I'm still, and because you made it through don't mean that you won't go through. Let us get a good understanding of that. Because you made it through don't mean that you won't go through. And when I was ready, when I was entirely ready, I had to admit, I had to really sit down and look at my life and be honest. For the first time in my life, I really learned what being honest meant. I really learned that. That means not holding nothing. That means if, whatever you feeling or whatever disgusted you or whatever hurted you or whatever you did to somebody else, you must talk about it. You must get it out, because you have to realize as we go through life journey, we on a whole new journey now. We recovering, we dealing with feelings that we can't pick up and drink and use drugs. We can't do that. We can't do like some people can go through something, and they can pick up a drink. That was once me. That was once Robin. That was once my auntie. I had to remember that you are working the steps for a reason. You have come through this journey to learn about the journey you took from that to this. But being back in the past, sometimes people say, well, I don't think about the past. I say, well, I do. I do. Because sometimes thinking about the past and what you've done in the past can come and bring it to the present and teach you what you cannot do. What you did in the past, you cannot do. Like, I cannot get high no more. I cannot drink no more. I can't do none of that. And that come from my past. That come from my past of knowing what I've done. The things I've done was ugly. The way I thought and think was ugly. The way I hurt me, my own self, my body, my brain, my spiritual part was ugly. So yes, I have to go back in the past, and it reminds me of what I do not want to ever do again. That's why I tell you I hate this disease. I hate it. Because everything could be going fine, everything is good, and somebody can piss you off, or somebody can do something and say something. And that don't mean that we're better than nobody else. It just means that it's a new, better way than we handle that than what we did in the past. Because see, if you pissed me off or you made me mad, I could hurt people. I know. I know what I was capable of back then. You know, and another thing I realized that I did, I impulsively acted real fast without thinking. And I don't do that today. I take a breath. I breathe. I look at the situation. And I turn it over. Talk to the God of my understanding. Because the old me can pop up at any given time. And that's why I have to take that personal inventory. And when I'm wrong, thinking wrong, acting wrong, I have to admit right then where I'm at. Always. Hey, Latrice, always. You have to admit what's going on. You know, because there was a time when we were using and drinking, we didn't care who we hurt, who we cussed out, how we played the part and hurting somebody else because we was feeling hurt. Somebody said the other day, they didn't like that saying, hurt people's hurt people's. And she said that wasn't true. But she was on a video on Facebook, and I had to say, no, you a lie. Because hurt people's that's always hurting is always lashing, is always holding things that they had no control over, not learning how to let go of the things that we were hurting from. And so therefore, when she said, hurt people's don't hurt people's, that's crazy. I hurt me, and I've hurt other people's, and I continue to hurt me. You know why? Because I'm hurt. Because I'm hurt. Hurt people's, yes. Hurt people's do hurt people's. Because good people's in the right stable mind that you are in, you wouldn't have to hurt nobody. You wouldn't have to lash out at nobody. You know, but when we using and we in that addiction, we do hurt people's. And I disagree with that. Because I hurt a lot of people. And it ain't never nothing to brag about. It's because we up under the influence of the drugs and the alcohol that our lives have become unmanageable. That our lives have become unmanageable. When we smoke weed, when we drink, when we get high, we ain't the best. And nobody can tell us that we get lazy, we don't pay attention, we ignore things that's going on. We want other people to take our place of being the mama or the daddy. You know, I'm just going to keep it real, because when I got high, I overlooked a lot of things. And I can, when I take that personal inventory, I can look back in my life. Like I tell you, I take personal inventory every day. I can look back in my life and see the mistakes that I made. Why? Because I'm not using. 2, I got a clear mind. 3, I'm working some steps. 4, I'm working on being better, the better me. And I'll tell anybody that I like the better me. Because the old me and the old you, people's closed blinds when they saw us coming. People didn't answer the phone when we called them. People, when we stood out by the door and rang the doorbell, they act like they weren't home, but I could see the curtains and the blinds moving because they know that I am in my addiction. For real, for real. Hey, Stella, for real. Hey, Deanna, for real. That addiction you think is fine. People think I call weed the funny stick. People think the weed don't bother you. Keep on thinking that. Because eventually when you smoke the weed, you become lazy. You know, you're very slow. You know, everything is funny. You know, you don't look at things seriously. That's why I called it the funny stick, because you could smoke it and feel good for a minute, and then all of a sudden you get out of your character. That's why I don't smoke it. And the weed they got today stank like pure hell. I cannot stand it. But it says, step 10, we continue to take a personal inventory. And when we was promptly wrong, we promptly admitted it. We were wrong and promptly admitted it. Do you know how many times I had to admit to somebody what I had done? Just to fix me, just to get my mind together. Because I didn't want to come into recovery falsifying how I'm thinking and how I'm living. I didn't come and look, anytime I can give up alcohol, drugs, all of us are drug, weed, pills, anytime that I can give that up, then I ain't playing with recovery. I just ain't playing with it. Because when I came in, I was messed up. I was so messed up. When I think about that part, how messed up I was, how I would steal and lie, how I would premeditated think how I was going to hurt somebody or get some more money or use and take from somebody. Don't y'all know that God had us covered? Because I've known people who had prostituting when I was prostituting, and I had robbed a lot of the guys. Don't you know I could have been one of them ones that was in that addiction, that had robbed or took some from somebody after he had already paid me, could have came up dead. See, these are the little bitty gifts that I realized that's such a big gift. Because the things that I used to do in my sickness and the illness of the disease of an addiction have taught me what I cannot do. I cannot hang with people that drink and use drugs or smoke weed. I cannot hang with people that pop pills or still prostitute or still. I can talk to you. Now that everybody know I can talk to you. I can try to talk you out of that pain and misery that you seem to not know that you in, but eventually you're going to feel it and you're going to see it and you're going to be a part of it. A part of that pain. People think they having fun. Oh, we having fun. Oh, I thought the same thing. Going to parties, drinking, smoking all night, doing crack cocaine, and thought I was living my best life. And it wasn't. It was trying to fit in to do what somebody else was doing because it looked cool. And that ain't living your best life. Your best life is when you can stand on a situation and properly admit and go to somebody that you hurt them or you're wrong or you wasn't in your right mind. Properly admitting to somebody is a gain. It's a good life. That's your best life. Your best life is when you can wake up in the morning and know that you're going to have to take a drink. You know, or my son that got suspended, or my daughter that ran away from home. And when I used to do, I drank and then isolated and didn't care. And now I got feelings that I have to deal with on a daily basis. And I can't pick up no matter what the situation is. No matter who I lost. When I lost, I always say this, for the ones who got mothers, appreciate your mothers and fathers. They might have not been the best mothers. I had one that was the best. But whatever the situation is, they birthed you, they had you. You know, you got to learn how to look at yourself before you can judge other people. You know, I found out in recovery that, you know, it's so good for people to, even in recovery, to throw stones at other people because, you know, you can. Or because you're clean, and because you got a productive life that you living clean and you don't use drugs. That don't mean you got clean to hurt other people and judge other people. I don't do that. I stay away from them kind of people. I don't let them in my circle. I don't want them in my circle. I ain't got to be in no clique. I'm my own clique. For the first time in my life, I'm my own clique. And the clique that loaded different from right and wrong. If I hurt you, I'm going to tell you I hurt you. Even sometimes when I fuss at the kids and I get on them and they say, well, I didn't do that. Okay, I'm sorry, baby. You know, I thought you did it. It was the other girl that did it. You know, promptly admit, continue to take that personal inventory of your life. Step 10 got me real good because step 10 made me realize that I am aware. I am alive. I'm feeling the best that I could ever feel because now I'm taking all situations and dealing with it without no drugs and alcohol. No drugs. No alcohol. I can't pop no more pills. I got to deal with all this personal feelings that I'm feeling without the use of drugs. And to me, that's living your best life. Because you don't need nothing to pick up to cope with what you're going through. And see, that was a big thing for me. Every time something didn't nothing even have to happen. Don't let me even say it that way. Anytime that I was feeling uncomfortable, anything that things wasn't going right, I could always depend on my alcohol or my weed or my drugs to get me through that. And see, that's like giving all your feelings and your emotion to the care of drugs and alcohol to help you make it through. Now, some people smoke weed, and they still good and productive. They don't go robbing nobody. They don't go hurting nobody. You know, sometimes some of my friends, they need the weed. I ain't gonna lie. You know, people say drug is an addiction. Yes, it is. But some people I know that don't like to pop pills and drink, take it to calm their nerves. Like my daughter. I'll speak on my daughter. My daughter gonna smoke weed every day. Even though she know her mama's a recovering addict. But I watch my daughter. My daughter is, she's a person that she does better when she's smoking weed. Is that crazy? Yes. But does that help her? Yes. Can I judge her? No. Because that's her choice. But it calms her down and make her nervous, you know, make all her everything that she get nervous and upset real quick. And, you know, she worry a lot. So when she smoked the weed, I'm not telling people to do that. I'm still against it, but that's what she want to do. That's her. I can't judge her and stop loving her because she does something that I used to do and I stop now and she's still doing it. Why can't I judge her? I can't. She got to answer to the same God I answer to. She got to deal with her problems and situations just like I do. Only difference between me and her, I can't pick up nothing no more. I can't pick up nothing when my son done made me mad or somebody done pissed me off or somebody is hurting somebody I love. I can't pick up no more. I just know that because I don't want to pick up because I hate the disease of an addiction. I hate the drugs. I hate the alcohol. I hate anything that alters your mood and make you think that you're okay. So I don't use it. And I ain't never used it. I used it for so many years, over 30 years. I used drugs and alcohol over 30 years. And you better I better tell you right now, all the personalities, all the character defects were messed up. All the impulsive thinking, overthinking was messed up. All due to drugs and alcohol. Depending on something to help me get through something else. And I don't ever want to depend on something that's going to hurt me anyway. Depend on something that's going to hurt me to get me through something else that I'm going through. No, I ain't doing that one. No, I want to feel everything I can feel. I'm okay. Because see, once I learn how to admit And once I learned to look at what part I played, and once I learned to surrender and admit that I had a problem, I did this. Nobody made me pick up on me. Nobody done that. Nobody made me put a gun to my head and told me to do some drugs or try these pills or snort some crack cocaine. Nobody told me to do that but me. But me. So I had to take accountability. That's why I love this step. We continue to take a personal inventory. I continue to do that on a daily basis to nurture me. It ain't about you. It's about nurturing me so I won't hurt you. So I won't say nothing or lash out at you. I won't start changing the way I've been because I'm not nurturing me. You, look, it's your job and my job to take responsibility of our own joy. And can't nobody tell me it's joy and drinking and getting high and messing your life up and making bad decision after bad decision. No. You can't tell me that. Because I was so dumbfounded, I would have never thought I would have turned my life over to all the drugs and the alcohol and let it consume in me and make me be the worst person that I was and never trying to find a better me. I wouldn't have never thought that would have happened to me. But it did. But I'm not the only addict out here can explain and say that. People that use drugs, we use drugs because we're feeling some kind of way. We in pain. Just like when people's cut. They cut because they're in pain. They don't know how to deal with it, so they cut themselves so they can figure out a way, and that makes them feel better. To us, it make it terrible, terrifying. But to them, it makes them feel better when they can feel pain. So I know that I can't never use again. See, I'm one of them addicts that if I pick up, I ain't gonna stop. I already know that about myself, and this disease was dealing with me. If I go to take a drink, I want another drink. Because remember, I ain't drunk in all these years. And if I take a drink or use drug, I'm going to want some more. I'm that addictive addict. I'm that addict that ain't got that. People say, oh, I drink every now and then. We was talking to a girl yesterday. She said, I don't drink every day. You know, I do smoke weed. I don't drink every day. You know, every now and then. My sister said, oh, you a sociable drinker? She said, yeah, because I don't drink. Yeah, I was a sociable drinker too. I was a sociable drinker at one time. And all the time, I didn't even know what a social drinking meant. I drank every day, every night. I drank every day, hear me not, every night, to cope, to deal with things that I were running from, that I ran from, and I didn't know how to find me until I went to the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, until I went to the hospital and they taught me about the disease of an addiction. And it's cunning, it's baffling, and powerful. Do you know what them three words mean? Cunning mean it tricks you. Cunning, very powerful, because it's once you get it in you, you think you living your best life and you just start hurting people and lashing out at people because you're up under the influence of some drug. So cunning means it's cheating and it'll trick you. Powerful means it takes over. Cunning, powerful, and cunning, powerful, and baffling. Mess you up. You don't know if you're going or coming. So, cunning, powerful, and baffling. Baffling, counter, and powerful. It was all that. So, if people want to drink and study kill yourself, do you know how much I drank all them years? And you know how it caused me to have health problems? And I'm still here through the grace of God? Do y'all know that using drugs and alcohol might not seem to be damaging you now, but it's that kind of disease that show up, that disease of you drinking and using and getting high gonna show up years later. That's why it's cunning. Show up years later. Health problem. kidney problem, heart problem, liver problem, all due to drugs and alcohol. Some that we thought that was so powerful, that was so helping us, and that we had became their friend. And I don't ever want a friend that I think that I need that's going to hurt me. And drugs is nobody's friend. It hurts, it kills, it destroys, it separates, it divides. It takes your joy, your peace. It takes your deliverance, your spirituality. It takes your kindness. It takes your loving. It takes all these things away from you that you once had. So I have to always remember to take and continue to take a personal inventory. And when we become wrong, we have to promptly admit to another individual or to ourselves. It ain't even got to be to another individual, but it's speaking on that when we take a personal inventory and we wrong, we got to admit that we wrong. If we don't admit that we wrong, we ain't what we standing on. We ain't working on nothing. Everything that the 12 steps, I look at the 12 principles, and I look at the 12 traditions. They are in place. So can't nobody add or subtract. They are in place to have a guideline that we must follow, that we must listen to. Can't nobody break the guidelines, the tradition, and the principle. And that's one thing that I love. Because you're going to find somebody to tell you, oh, no, you can't do that. Not in the 12 traditions. You can't do that. And for a person that don't work on that or don't know that yet, that does, and I always be kind and gentle, because some of the newcomers, they don't know. That's why we old timers, to let the new timers know. But we don't have to hurt the newcomers in front of everybody. I'm not that type of person. When I change my life, I change everything. Every situation, I know how to take somebody out and talk to them. And tell them, no, baby, you can't do this. Or that's why you can't do that. So they're, loving and compassion. Loving, not to be showing off, or not to hurt somebody else to make yourself look better. See, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And that's why I work on and take a personal inventory of myself. Because sometimes people hurt other people or put other people in a situation to where they can get mad and angry because we wanted to make ourselves look good by hurting somebody else. It's a way you can tell a person anything as of right today. If I'm feeling something, can I talk to you? Can me and you go off? Because the old way we just would have went off. It wasn't no trying to be peaceful and nice and take. So that's why when I tell you I continue to take an inventory, I mean even the inventory of my past when I was using. I still took an inventory because let me tell you something. Because if you don't look at some of your past and some of your past things going to come into the present. And if you don't look at the past into the present, then you ain't going to know you don't want to do that no more. So when I pull things from the past into the present, it lets me know what I don't want to do. It makes me remember how mean and not attractive and how I just wasn't in a good place in my life. I just wasn't. I just wasn't in a good place in my life at that time. I really wasn't, because I had messed up. I had depended on the drug and the alcohol to save me out of everything I was feeling. And I had to learn how to save myself by working the program, by acceptance, by admitting that I was wrong. And I've come to the place in my life to where it works for me better than taking drugs. Because I hate the disease of an addiction. I hate drugs. And, the only way I know that I hate it is because I don't touch it. I don't use it. I don't touch it. And when the urge still comes, no matter how many years, I learned one thing about the disease of addiction, no matter how many years of you being clean, how many years of you being clean, no matter how many years of you being clean, you can always still get an urge. You can always. Especially when things just seem like overwhelming and everything is going on here, there, everywhere. And in a minute, you'll get an urge. But that's all it is for me, is an urge. Because I ain't never going back. God been too good to me to allow me to feel everything, true feelings, deal with situation without drugs and alcohol, and learn how to get some stability in my life, because I don't use drugs and alcohol no more, so I have to deal with it. I have to deal with all my personal feelings, my emotions, my behaviors, without any alcohol, without any drug. Because see, once you start depending on the alcohol and the drug to have a good time, to feel good, or you feeling bad, or you stressed out, or you depressed, that's why we drink. That's why we use drugs. Our life is not in order. The way we think and the way we doing is not in order. And I have a son I pray for every day because he loved to drink. And I can't do nothing but pray. That's all I can do. My mother couldn't do nothing but pray for me when I was using. No. Is he a good kid? Yeah. But something is out of order anytime you got to keep drinking. Anytime you got to just keep drinking and knowing you got health problems. Keep drinking. I'm just being totally honest. So the only thing I know that works for me is prayer. It changes things. Sooner or later, prayer gonna change something. And that's what I stand on. And I can't control nobody else's destiny but my own. I can't stop anybody from drinking and using drugs but my own. I can't change anything about me but me. But I never use drugs and alcohol again. It destroyed. It almost cost me my life. And I don't want nothing ever to have that much power over me. So right now ain't nobody got no power over me but the God of my understanding. Nobody. No drugs, no alcohol, no pills, nothing is going to ever have me thinking that you got control over my life. A new way to live and a new way to think. We all have a purpose. And our purpose is to find out what our purpose is. And it sure wasn't giving drugs and alcohol all of me. That wasn't my purpose. But my purpose was to get my life in order, to check into a hospital over 35 years and get my life in order. That was my purpose. So I can be better than I ever been. And I'm so grateful to the God, to the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous program. It has taught me to feel, just naturally feel, without anything. Without no drugs, no alcohol, no cough syrup, no nothing. I did it all. So I'm living my best life because now I'm not dependent. You are living your best life. For the ones that's still struggling, man, find a way. Call somebody. Like y'all email me or call me and I give you direction where to go and then meet you at a meeting. That's what you got to do because can't nobody carry you. Can't nobody make you stop drinking. Can't nobody make you stop getting high. That's something you have to learn how to surrender and get some acceptance that I got a problem. Until you get acceptance that you have a problem, you ain't gonna never think you got a problem. You gonna think everything that you doing is okay. Like I did. And nothing is okay when you let something take over your life and over your mind and over your spirituality. It's nothing. That's why I tell y'all every time. That step 10 got me. Because as I did a personal inventory, I still do it. Every day. Sometimes I just sit in my truck and just go and look over things, and some of the paths that come in, and I think about how I did this and why am I at where I'm at today. And I know where I'm at. I know where I'm at today, and I know why. It's because I gave up something that was continually hurting me to gain something that is continued to bless me. And drugs and alcohol didn't bless me. It cursed me. It hurt me. It made me a dishonest person. It made me not like myself. When I tell you that drugs and alcohol can turn your life around, baby, yes it can. It'll have you robbing banks. It'll have you out there on the whole stroke. It'll have you out there lying and manipulating, stealing. It'll have you dividing your family, your friends. It'll have you where you don't want to wake up in the morning. It'll have you not liking nobody. It'll have you not wanting to be around nobody. It'll have you where everything you think is negative, nothing positive. And so it's a lot that comes with using drugs and alcohol, but much to gain when you use the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous program. Because we got plenty of addictions in our lives. You got plenty more addiction. It wasn't just drugs and alcohol. Your personality was messed up. Your character defect was messed up. Your impulsive thinking is messed up. You always want to be self-centered and always trying to take over and always thinking you can control something. Always want to hurt people. You don't have no more joy. The peace is gone. The stability to want to do right ain't coming as fast as you using. So you have to learn how to maintain a personal inventory of your life every day in order to sustain from using drugs and alcohol ever again. And I don't use it. I don't even think about it. Every now and then an urge will come up, especially I notice when I'm overwhelmed or when I'm going through where I can't. And so I just, instead of using drugs and alcohol, I use God and I use the 12-step program. I go to a meet. I talk to some of my friends. I ain't talking to everybody. I'm just going to tell you straight up. I don't talk to everybody. I just don't do it. I got 3 people I talk to. That's enough. That's enough for you to hold half of what I want to tell you, because I'll never tell you all. I don't want that circle that big. When I was using drugs, I had a circle so big I couldn't even control the circle I was in. So now that I'm clean, I try to conceal and hold on to the little circle that I have that's good for me, that's best for me, that helps me, that nurtures me. I don't want nothing in my life that's going to hurt me ever again. Ever. Because I've been hurt enough. You've been hurt enough. And it's time for us to change. People say, I'm living my best life. That's what it means. When I hear my girls and I hear all the guys talking about we living our best life, but we dealing, we still going through, but we ain't using drugs and alcohol. That's the whole key. May God continue to bless you and keep you. And I'm going to close. Thank you so very much for letting me come into your home, your living room, your kitchen, wherever it may be, wherever you take me. Thank you. And not only do this help you, it helps me too. It gives me a commitment. It has me to have some acceptance of I can change anything I want to change. I can admit and continue to keep my responsibility of coming on this on this site and still helping another individual. Let me tell you, and it is helping. See, you can't see the outside. You can't go in the back. I get the emails. I get the phone calls. I get the texts I get it. And it's helping a lot of people because people don't even know about addiction. They just think they drinking because they feel good and having a good time and partying and don't realize that it's causing harm, accidents. It's everything. So I thank you. And next Friday I find out, ask God to give me another subject to talk about on Friday, and we on step. I'm looking on my page because I've been reading all night. I'm looking on my page, and we are on step 11 because we was on step 10 today. And step 10 was very good for me because it made me always realize I had to take a personal inventory of my life on a daily basis. But on step 11, I ain't going to say it's the best step, but this step was a deliverance for me. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. And as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Now that's a deep step. Step 11 has always been a step. It's a nurturing step. It's an eye-opening step. It's a release step. It's a step that keep you humble. It's a step that know that you working on self. It's a step that can save you and help you and show you. That step has got a lot of things in it that can pull and help you stay clean. So I thank y'all for listening to me. God bless you, and may He continue to keep you. And about my hour, because I didn't get on here until 2:05. So I thank y'all so very much. I see y'all on Friday. And if ain't nobody told you that they love you, tell them that Mama Toot Toot or Renee Williams, they call me both names, say that I do. Do something nice and kind for someone today. And stop thinking about just yourself all the time. And show somebody else some love. Good evenings. Talk to y'all next week.